The night had fallen faster than expected, and the city lights glittered like diamonds scattered across a black velvet sky. Alexander Pierce, one of the wealthiest men in the city, drove through the quiet roads leading to his sprawling mansion. To the world, he was a man who had everything: wealth, power, and respect. But behind the towering gates of his estate and behind his carefully composed smile, he carried an emptiness that no money could fill. His wife, Anna, the love of his life, had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving behind a little girl who became both his greatest treasure and his greatest reminder of what he had lost. That evening, Alexander was supposed to attend a high-profile business gala. But something inside him, perhaps an invisible pull of a father's instinct, urged him to return home earlier than planned. He told his driver to take him back, dismissing the puzzled look on the man's face. For once, deals and contracts could wait. Tonight, he wanted to be home. As he stepped out of the car and walked through the grand, echoing hallways of his mansion, he expected silence, the kind of silence that always reminded him of Anna's absence. But instead, faint sounds drifted from the living room. A soft voice. A child's whisper. Curious, he followed the sound until he stood just outside the door. What he saw made his chest tighten and his eyes sting with tears he hadn't allowed himself to shed in years. There, in the middle of the enormous living room, his 8-year-old daughter Lily sat on the floor. The lights above cast a golden glow around her, almost like a halo. In front of her was a small table where she had placed 2 cups of tea, one untouched, and a plate of cookies. She wore her mother's scarf, far too big for her little frame, draped around her shoulders as though it gave her comfort. She was talking softly to the empty chair across from her. "Hi, Mommy," Lily whispered, her voice trembling with innocence. "I had a hard day at school. The kids said I don't have a mom. But I told them you're an angel now, watching me. I saved you some cookies, the way you used to save the biggest one for me." Alexander froze in the doorway. His heart broke into pieces as he realized his daughter had been creating her own moments with her late mother, trying to fill the void that neither toys nor wealth could mend. He wanted to step in, but he didn't want to break the fragile scene, didn't want her to stop speaking from her heart. Tears slid silently down his face as he watched his little girl, so brave and so broken, carry a weight no child should ever have to bear. Finally, Lily noticed him. She turned, startled, quickly wiping her eyes. "Daddy, I didn't hear you come in." Alexander rushed forward and dropped to his knees, pulling her into his arms. He held her so tightly it was as though he feared the world might snatch her away. "My darling, you don't ever have to talk to Mommy alone. She's in our hearts, yours and mine. And together, we'll keep her memory alive. You're not alone, Lily. Never." The challenges they faced as father and daughter were not the kind solved with wealth. Lily struggled with loneliness at school, where children didn't understand her loss. Alexander battled guilt for being consumed by work, for not knowing how deeply Lily yearned for a mother's touch, for thinking that financial comfort could ease her pain. Nights were the hardest, when Lily would ask for stories her mother used to tell, and Alexander would sit on the edge of her bed, fumbling through words that could never measure up. But that night, something changed. Seeing Lily's fragile courage forced Alexander to re-evaluate his life. The companies, the endless meetings, the numbers in his bank account, none of it mattered if his daughter felt abandoned. From that day forward, he made a promise. No deal, no boardroom, no amount of money would ever come before his daughter again. It wasn't an easy journey. He had to restructure his life, often facing criticism from partners who accused him of losing focus. He had to learn how to braid hair with trembling fingers, how to attend parent-teacher conferences where mothers gave him pitying looks, how to sit through school plays where Lily nervously scanned the crowd until her eyes found him. Each challenge was a test, but each time, Alexander grew stronger as a father, and Lily, slowly but surely, began to heal. Her father's presence became her anchor. When bullies mocked her, she held her head high because she knew her father believed in her. When loneliness threatened to overwhelm her, she remembered that her father's love was bigger than the emptiness. Together, they began to build a new life, not forgetting Anna, but honoring her memory by living fully. One evening, months later, Alexander and Lily sat by the fireplace. The scarf still rested on her shoulders, but this time she wasn't whispering to an empty chair. She leaned against her father, smiling softly. "Daddy, I think Mommy would be proud of us." Alexander kissed her forehead, his eyes misting once more. "She would be, my love. She'd be so proud of the brave, kind girl you're becoming." The mansion no longer felt like an empty fortress. It became a home again, filled with laughter, tears, and moments that money could never buy. Alexander learned the greatest truth of all. Wealth may build walls, but love builds bridges. And in the end, the legacy of a family is not measured in gold, but in the kindness and strength carried forward. So, dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, I ask you, what would you choose if life tested you the same way? Would you chase wealth, or would you hold on to love? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe in stories that remind us of compassion, family, and the power of kindness, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Be kind always. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that could change the way you see the world. Because in the end, kindness is the greatest treasure we can give to one another.